Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
Travis, my good soul. Church news time. Excuse me. In Pierce Brosnan's Dante's Peak, Pierce Brosnan is a volcanologist who lost his wife for significant love with a volcanic eruption down in South America somewhere, I believe. And he works for the government in checking volcanic activity around the world. And they find that in a place that doesn't exist, with a mountain that doesn't exist, but near Mount St. Helens, he goes to investigate as there's some tremoring that's going on. And the people he works for doesn't really think there's anything there, but they just need to check it out. And the people are concerned that with the government presence, it's going to ruin investors, chase them away, ruin the economy of the town. And the people aren't really believing that such a volcanic eruption could occur. The mountain's not indicating anything. Everything seems fine. All is well in Zion. And so he does some investigation, falls in love with the mayor. Everybody's having fun with me. And while out gallivanting with her and her kids, he recognizes evidence that there's danger on the horizon. And so he wants to put the town on alert, and his boss comes in, and how dare you, what are you doing? You do not understand the politics of this. You've ruined the town's economy. The investors are leaving. The town is doomed. And in the end, Pierce is right. He's the expert in the field. They should have trusted him. Amos 3:7. Everybody knows it. It's scripture mastery for Mormons. And multiple places of education, whether it be the Sunday school lesson, whether it be seminary, whether it be institute, or even mission. We all get taught this over and over again, and most Mormons have it memorized. But verse 8, the lion hath roared, who will not fear. Lord God hath spoken, who can but prophesy. Joseph Smith, in section 101, starting in verse 43, is giving a parable prophecy for Mormons in the latter days. And now I will show unto you a parable, that you may know my will concerning the redemption of Zion. And so a nobleman hires servants to develop a spot of land. And it's necessary to have watchmen and a tower. The olive trees that are there need to be protected, and so there's a vineyard, and let's see, what else did they do? A hedge roundabout, Set watchmen on the tower. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And so, the watchmen are supposed to alert the people of oncoming danger, whether it be a lion or a volcanic eruption. But the watchmen slacked off, did not warn the people. So in verse 51, the enemy came by night, broke down the hedge, and the servants of the nobleman arose and were affrighted and fled. And the enemy destroyed the works, broke down the olive trees. Is all well in Zion, Mormons? I sincerely hope you don't believe that. But those of you who don't believe it, believe that you're in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you're in Utah, and so all is well in Zion. The prophets aren't sending out the warning voice, so there's nothing to worry about until they give the warning voice. Benson already did. Uh-oh. That was the name of his talk. That's an old Mormon joke. And so, for all these years, I've done videos explaining how Joseph Smith is a prophet, a seer, a revelator, and a translator. And both Mormons and Expo Nevermos all disagreed with me, for the most part. I've been going over real church history from my own independent research, and then when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints began posting on the Joseph Smith papers. And I don't know if you guys understand what the Joseph Smith papers are. They are the authoritative source for all things Joseph Smith. The church even put that on the home page for you. So even missionaries can go to this website. You can see the original 1830 Book of Mormon. You can read the original Book of Commandments in 1833. You can read the original 1835 Doctrine and Covenants. You can see scriptures that were never put in our Doctrine and Covenants. You can see actual documents with Joseph Smith's signature. You can see the changing of the name of the church. And I've been covering all of the bombshells because as it's authoritative, our current published scriptures must conform to it. It's the primary source. Even the church admits this because that's what they put on the home page of the website. Which means our current publication of canon needs to be changed. But the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints aren't doing it. They're not making any of the changes that need to be made. They know it needs to be made because those who worked on the project and reported to the first presidency know that the changes need to be made because they put notes. And so, during conference, again, the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints failed to update Mormons on the authoritative historical documents concerning Kirtland, the Kirtland Temple. He lied with the same old lies and even threw in some new ones, if you saw my video on it. What does it mean when an organization that teaches you not to lie, but they themselves are lying to you? Means they're frauds. As of today, the website on the home page for the church switched it back to the Book of Mormon now. Can any of you understand what it means that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is lying to us? That means we cannot trust them for anything except for the authoritative source documents. We should be using those with everything the church claims, so that we can fact check them to see what else they're lying about. Are you doing that, Expo Nevermose? And so, the home page says, the Book of Mormon testifies You need to understand what testify means. It is not the Catholic altered definition of a spiritual witness, a feeling. You'll hear Southern Baptists saying, "Can I get a witness?" That's a spiritual feeling. That's false. Testament refers to being a physical witness of events. When you bear testimony, it's the same thing as in a court of law. There is no difference just because it's religion. The reason for this is Constantine, with the creation of Christianity, made the nature and character of Jesus as what you know it as Trinitarian. The word is homuzion. It's spelled with Greek letters, but it is not a Greek word. Constantine made it up. The leaders of the 100+ congregations wouldn't give up their nature and character of their Christ, even though they had to give up everything else of their religion. They could no longer believe what they believed, but on this one thing, nobody could agree. So Constantine, frustrated, cranky, and hot, because it was during the summer. Just blurted out the word. And so, if you look it up in Wikipedia, it defines it as consubstantial, which, by definition, without substance, not physically real. Now you understand why Christians have a spiritual witness feeling. And so it's not a spiritual witness feeling of Jesus Christ, because the prophets make the claim Jesus Christ has a body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's, and physically appeared to the Nephites in America. And yet they tell you to have a spiritual witness testimony. And so then you take it to the further extreme of falsehood by saying that you can lose a testimony or you can grow it. You either physically witnessed some event or you didn't. You can't lose it unless somebody rips out your brain and smashes it on the ground. Most likely you'd be dead. See what the church is doing? They're changing the definition of testify to suit their purpose, to manipulate you, to lead you astray, to deceive you, to be dishonest. And it requires that you go to the Joseph Smith papers and do a thorough study so that you can figure it out. Because if you're not going to listen to my videos. And so, Jesus Christ is the exact same Constantinian creation, except for the nature and character. It's still a replacement of the Jewish religion. All of the scriptures of the Bible were written by Jews, and therefore it's not an Old or New Testament of Jesus. That was what the Christians did with Constantine, with that first creed. And Joseph Smith, both in Liberty Jail and with his 1838 history before he went into Liberty Jail to explain it further, says that the creeds of Christianity are all wrong. There is no truth in any of it. And I've done the videos, I've made the picture even to show you the creed, the text of the creed, and then to explain what each of it meant. It's all wrong. There is no truth in any of it, because it's not the learning of the Jews who were the authors. And so what does the Book of Mormon say it is written in, Mormons? Right there at the beginning of the Book of Mormon in 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2. You cannot deny this. You cannot threaten me to deny this. You cannot win a debate on this. The Book of Mormon is Jewish. It's not another testament of Jesus. Spencer W. Kimball maliciously lied. And I can't get through to any of you. The enemy is here. The enemy is within. The enemy is holding you hostage. And Oakes came out and confessed, yeah, we're holding you hostage. That's the symbolism of your underwear. And so over the course of years, Mormons have tried to claim that I'm wrong and claimed that Joseph Smith said or did such and such. And each and every single time, if I didn't already know it, I went and checked on it. And it was worse for the church. And so why these Mormons couldn't have figured that out before making their comment that exposed the church further, I don't know. I'll give you one example. I had researched where Harmony was located, where Joseph Smith was with Martin Harris. It was Harmony north of Pittsburgh. And so a Mormon came and apparently knew of the Joseph Smith papers before I did, and linked, or did he link me? I don't know if he linked me. I don't think he did. But regardless of whether he did or not, I found the actual document of the sale of Emma's father to Joseph Smith Jr. for a house in Harmony, Susquehanna River, Pennsylvania. And that was supposed to be evidence that I was wrong. The church is telling us the truth. And so I saw that and went, there's several problems with this. One, Harmony Susquehanna River was not called Harmony Susquehanna River anymore. It hadn't been called Harmony Susquehanna River since before Joseph Smith Sr. arrived in Palmyra. Because you can't have two of the same city name when the Postal Service comes to town. It's the Pony Express back then. And so the Harmony Susquehanna was the one who chose to change the name. And they changed it several times. I've done the videos going over their own website, talking about the history of Harmony. Oops. The other problem was that Joseph Smith supposedly gave Emma's father $2,000 for the land to build a house. That's how much it cost to publish a book. Wait a minute, Martin Harris hadn't given the money yet. That was the whole purpose of getting Martin Harris, so that he could pay for the book, because they didn't have the money. What's he doing with $2,000? You don't think. Authoritative primary source documents are evidence of factual things. You cannot deny the facts. You have to plug in the facts into your research. X-Phone never knows. Not just Mormons. And so, because I've done this, the church today announced the release and posting of the legal records in the Joseph Smith papers. If you remember me doing videos last year, the church said they're finished. The Joseph Smith papers are done. on his death day, June 27th, 2023, they were done. They announced they're done. We're now working on the Brigham Young papers. We're done with the Joseph Smith papers. Now, it's possible that this could be part of the community of Christ handing over documents. I'm not seeing them say that, but that's most likely. But I do remember before Thanksgiving, they rushed to have published the Book of the Law. That's in section 85. But they did not talk about it as section 85. They didn't even mention it at all. Instead, they said it was proof and evidence of section 119. Priestcraft, the extortion price for Mormon slavery. Sex and human trafficking. A clear violation of the keystone of Mormonism called the Book of Mormon. Section 119 is a forged document. And so, we have the extradition order by Governor Boggs calling for Joseph Smith Jr., Lyman White, Alonzo something Brown, Parley P. Pratt, Sidney Rigdon, and Caleb Baldwin. Couldn't read that one name, so I'm not sure who he is. I'd have to find it in the papers and find out more about him. But this is what I do, is I check for who these people are. Caleb Baldwin does not have a Wikipedia page. He has only a biography in the Joseph Smith papers. He was born September 2nd, 1791. He died 11th of June, 1849. So, he was baptized by Parley P. Pratt, 14 November, 1830. This indicates that he was part of Sidney Rigdon's congregation. If you know the background of Parley P. Pratt. And if you know the linguistic evidence for who is the major author of the Book of Mormon. Not arguing with your feelings. And so, like Parley P. Pratt, Baldwin also moved to the Salt Lake Valley, but not with the Vanguard Company. He came later on his own, 1848, the year before he died. But that's all the information, is just the summary of events of his life. There is no Wikipedia page. There's nothing from any of his children that got published. I'd have to do further research, but that's all we have. And so he's claimed to have been involved in the Danite War in 1838. And was with Joseph Smith in Liberty Jail. Joseph Smith was framed. In case you missed my videos, Joseph Smith Papers vindicates him because of a certain document in the Joseph Smith Papers of a sale to Emma Smith in far west Missouri, which was too far west for Joseph Smith to have gotten to the war, to have threatened the judge and the sheriff to force them to sign an affidavit that it was Joseph who was forcing them to sign the affidavit saying that it was Joseph who was forcing them to... It's interesting. Usually criminals don't want to reveal their identity unless they make an announcement. Let it be known that this day Billy the Kid had robbed you. Unless they're that arrogant. But no, this was forcing the judge and the sheriff to sign an affidavit that it was Joseph. And he wasn't even there. Joseph Smith Papers vindicates him. But the Danites were there. That's confirmed as fact. Another thing that caught my attention was after Joseph Smith was assassinated, there were bills to pay. Just because he dies in jail doesn't mean he gets away with the bills. Emma Smith pays the price by paying from the estate for all his goods and chattel and effects. 14th or 17th day of July. Looks like her manner of 14, which is actually Grindel who wrote that one. And so it's 17th day of July, 1844, the Justice of the Peace. Emma had to pay. Remember the book of the law that I talked about? None of that money was used. But where did that money go? Church wasn't expecting. It wasn't expected. It wasn't with the Joseph Smith Papers. They were working on the Brigham Young Papers. And they finally got to it. And they went, oh, we better put this with the Joseph Smith Papers. And rushed it before Thanksgiving. Emma never got that money. It was not for the Nauvoo Temple. It was not tithing. It was Brigham Young's extortion racket that would later become, in 1844's Doctrine and Covenants edition by Brigham Young, as Section 119. Just as the church says it is. It's just abominable. This is the real tragedy, Mormons. This church murdered Joseph Smith, stole his religion and replaced it with Christianity. And still, to this day, Brigham Young's missionaries go out and lie to all the world that the Book of Mormon testifies of Jesus Christ. And then to know that it testifies of Jesus Christ, you're supposed to pray and get the right feeling rather than your own testimony through research and study. They claim science for one thing, but then deny you science to confirm the scientific claims. Because everything physical has to follow the laws of physics, which means an investigation of research can be used to establish facts through scientific methodology using logical Socratic methods of developing theories and testing them for confirmation. You know, agronomy, which is all over the Jewish scriptures and the Book of Mormon, which is Jewish, and Joseph Smith. The seed is the word, and you have to produce the results of the word. You can't just say something and say it's true. People need to be allowed to test it and see if the results are indeed as the word says. And by the results, we can then judge the word as either good or bad, true or false. And so, as I warned you, when doing this with the prophets, seers, revelators, they don't even claim translator. That's your dead giveaway. They don't admit to having any words of prophecy, revelation, or visions and dreams. And so I guess we can't test them. We'll never know. Yeah, same thing. We'll never know because they're frauds. They only claim titles. The titles are empty. They have no accomplishments. They have no results. No fruit. And thus, they are not the prophets of Amos 3:7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, save he shall revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets, who would warn the people about lions roaring in the latter days on the 21st of August 2017. Go to my video page, click on popular. It's my #1 video and has been the whole time. And you'll notice, wait a minute, you've got a lot more subscribers than you did back then. Although you can't see how many subscribers I had back in 2017. But YouTube leads you to believe that over the course of time, I would get more subscribers, and those subscribers would trigger the algorithms to have other people find my videos being recommended to them, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So 40,000 for 2017, 7 years later, and I'm struggling to get 50 per video. That's an anomaly. That is the cause of an enemy running YouTube. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not want you to hear my videos. They want to tell you what to believe, what to think, what to feel, and what to do. Thus be compelled in all things, taking away your agency. They do not want you to actually study the Book of Mormon. They do not want you to go to the Joseph Smith papers. Unless you're thinking celestial or replacing everything with Jesus, Christianity. As long as they've got you blinded, it's okay. You can study your Book of Mormon now that you believe it's Christian with Jesus. You can now go over the Joseph Smith papers now that you believe you're Christian with Jesus. And that the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now you're safe. Now you can go and look. The church will allow that now. Learning of the Jews destroys this church. And it's right there in your keystone, Mormons. That's what Benson was saying. You remove the literal history, truth of the Book of Mormon, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints falls. But keep it in, and you can only keep it in with spiritual witness feelings. No other way. They gotcha. You are in their captivity. You are their hostage. And when you go out and tell other people, you are reading the terrorist demands as a prisoner. And when you stray from that, they gotta punish you. You gotta make sure you suffer so that you have no integrity, to refer back to the conference talk. Alrighty. So there's nothing I can do being attacked. I'm doing my part to save your lives. But as you can see, the enemy is in control. Not in control of me, in control of covering up and hiding the truth from you. And so, yes, we need the fall of the great and abominable church. Next week is Passover. Whether you understand it or not, you need to be freed. And so you don't believe, most likely you're gone if you don't believe. But if by chance there's those of you who don't believe who are still listening, remember learning of the Jews. Now go to section 103, verses 16 and 17.